Hi guys, it's Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this 2013 Burstner Nexxo. So it's a T660 Moonlight Edition, hence the black cab and various other bits and pieces. So if I just start here under the bonnet, we've got over on the left hand side all of your sort of consumable bits. So you've got your washer fluid at the top, power steering fluid and engine coolant, brake fluid, engine oil and dipstick, and that's all of your sort of consumable bits there on the left. You've got your weight plate just here. This is the original one. There probably will be a Burstner one separately somewhere else as well. Air filter sits inside this box just here, and if you want to jump start the vehicle, you've got a positive terminal for it here under this little cover, and a negative or an earthing point just here at the front. So that's for if you want to jump start the vehicle. Diesel filling point is just here behind this little flap, and the bonnet release is just here inside the passenger door. This particular vehicle does come with the extra locks here, safe locks. If I just show you how they work, so you've got these keys just here. Key goes in, you've got the right key. Key goes in, and then you can turn it whichever way you can turn it, basically. If I'm doing it right. Let's get this door open. A bit awkward with one hand. I'll have to try it again in a minute when I've got a hand spare. But yeah, so you've got those extra locks just there. That's on both of the cab doors there, and they do go in and basically just come across here so that you can't open the door, like a deadlock basically, in addition to the normal locks that you get with the standard Fiat fob. Freshwater filling point is this one just down here, so push in around to the left to release this, and that is where you fill up your freshwater tank. Next one along is your gas locker. So if I open that one up, you basically get space in here for either two 6 kilo propanes, like you've got one here, so you could have another one over there at the back just spare, ready for when this one runs out. Or it looks like you could also fit a couple of 13 kilo propane bottles in there as well. If you wanted to go 13, then that's obviously absolutely up to you. It won't cover up these dropout holes, which is obviously ideal. But for the time being, if I just show you how these bottles work. So you've got anti-clockwise around to the left will turn the bottles on, and clockwise around to the right will turn them off. You need to make sure that you turn them off before you start driving. And if you find that when you turn it on you don't get any gas coming through, you've got a little button just here to press in and hold just to allow the gas to come through into the vehicle. So that's basically just like a pressure release sort of thing, and so sometimes it will lock out and you'll have to just press it for a few seconds, and that'll allow the gas to go through. So next door to the gas locker, we've got your hookup point. So access to having a hookup cable plugged in is really helpful, because it means that all the time that you've got it plugged in, your leisure battery and anything 240 volt related has got power going to it. Wastewater drain off point is this one just down here. You can see you got the handle just to the right of that there, and that will drain out all of your wastewater. So any water that's gone down a drain inside of a sink or the shower, anything like that, that's where that goes there. So your toilet cassette locker on this one, you have got the SOG unit, so that means you've got this little cover on the outside and this pipe just here on the inside. So if you want to have that in use, you need to have this little piece plugged in down here, but when you want to empty it out you have to unplug it. To pull the actual cassette out and empty it, you've got a little green tab down here. Pull the green tab and then this entire cassette will come out. All you need to know from there really is that you drain off from here, and when you're draining it out you should be holding down that little green button at the back to allow any extra pressure to come out from there. So that, plug that bit back in, close the door, and that's it, good to go. So at the back of the vehicle, we've got your bike rack. So this is a 2-bike bike rack. You see there, it comes up, closes over like so. At the rear off side, we've got this big garage locker, which is basically just the locker underneath your fixed bed. Only thing I need to show you in here really is that you've got your jack and wheel brace kit just here, spare wheel, and the access to your boiler. So all you need to know really is you've got the yellow tab just down there, which you need to lift up if you want to drain the boiler out. And you've also got the blue one to the right of that, which is also a boiler drain. So basically all you need to do for that is twist the blue handle at the top, and that will drain out all the water from inside the boiler. Once you want to fill it back up again, twist it back to where it was and push the little blue button in that's at the bottom that would have pushed out. You can probably just about see it there on the bottom right hand side. You need to push that, make sure that button is pushed in basically where it is now. So that is access to the boiler. So hook up point just, oh no, not hook up, sorry. External power socket just here. And if I just have a little look to see what this one is. I can get the keys in my hand. Ugh. Being a bit clumsy today. Open this one up. So this one is your external gas point. So anytime you want to use an external gas point, so that's your barbecue point basically, you can have the awning wound out, barbecue plugged in just there. And if you did need any external power, then you've got that there as well. This vent just here is the boiler vent itself. So anytime you've got the boiler lit up, you will feel hot air coming out through the bottom of this. Just in case you wanted to sort of double check that it was working, you can do that just by putting your hand there and you'll feel heat. You've then also got these two vents just here, which are both to do with your fridge. So if you wanted to get access to the back of the fridge for any reason, you can do that. The main one is this bottom one. You shouldn't ever really need to do that. That's more so for us, you know, servicing them and things, but there you go. So when we jump in, we've got another one of the heater safe locks just here at the back for the habitation door as well. So that's another one that you can lock from inside and outside. I'm just going to wipe the screen off a little bit. Okay, so first things first, as soon as we get in, we've got your main Burstner control panel up here. So first thing we're going to do just to get us powered up is press the 12-volt button, and that is essentially straight away giving us power to your lights, anything that works off 12-volt constant. Pressing the 12-volt button just there allows you to use any of that. To the left of it, we've got your engine battery voltage and your leisure battery voltage. So if we look at the top scale just here, engine battery voltage is at about 12.25, leisure battery nearly 12.5. So that's as easy as that. Just making sure you keep on top of those voltages. It does show you on that little scale there where is bad basically. So the red part there, anything below 11 and anything above about 14.5 is when a leisure battery or an engine battery is going to start getting ruined basically. So just keep your eye on that as often as you can. We've then got these two scales here, which is going to be your bottom gauge. This is your fresh and waste water. So top one here is the fresh. So if I press that, got a full fresh tank and an empty waste tank. So that's perfect. We've then got this little symbol up here, which will light up yellow if you have the hookup cable plugged in. So that just proves to you that the hookup's definitely working and switched on. And then we've got the last one here, which is your water pump switch. So basically the pump, I'm assuming there must be a tap open. There we go. So the pump itself is what you'd call a submersible pump. So the pump itself actually sits inside the water tank, which is just here underneath this seat. And the way that the submersible pumps work is as simple as this. So when you turn that switch on up at the control panel, all that does is give power to the micro switches. So the micro switches are basically inside every one of your taps, including the shower, has got a micro switch inside of it, and that is what tells the pump to run. So without having this switch on up here, if I pull the tap and engage the micro switch, nothing's going to happen. If I turn the pump switch on up here and engage the micro switch, you should hear the pump kicking in. And you can see now water coming out. So unlike a lot of inline pumps that you might find in other motorhomes, that basically some of them work on pressure, so that when you turn the pump switch on, the pump will run until it gets to pressure and then it will turn itself off, so that you've got pressure straight away at the tap. But the difference with this is that you're not going to get half as much pressure as in if there's a leak somewhere. The pressure coming through the taps is the same, but if there's a leak somewhere, it won't be surging and trying to find that leak. So, you know, basically the pump will only ever run when you want it to run. So I've always, you know, quite liked submersible pumps. I think they're really helpful in the case of if you've got a leak, it's not going to start going crazy at you, and the pump won't run unless you want it to. So it's as easy as that. So if you're not using any taps, the pump shouldn't run, basically. So for the time being, we've seen that we've got power in the leisure battery. We've seen that we've got water in the fresh tank. Our boiler drains are down at the moment, which I showed you on the outside. So all I need to do now to make sure that the boiler is definitely full of water and that I can use it is just come to this tap just here, turn the tap to the left and pull it up. So a little bit of air coming through there, not much, but a little bit. And there we go. Now, all right, okay, a little bit more air coming through. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave that until it starts coming through nice and clearly, which I don't think will be long. So what this is basically doing, and this is basically purging the system of any air that might be inside of it. So any air that might be in the boiler, this is purging it here out the tap and making sure that it's 100% full. All right, so if we just do this for a few seconds, just to allow this to come through properly. And this is the most important thing that you can do in this vehicle. So if you try and light the boiler up one day and the boiler is completely empty of water because you haven't checked this this way, then what's going to happen is you're going to try and light it up and try and heat the water up, and it will just overheat straight away. Because if you're trying to light the boiler up and there's no water inside of it, it's not going to be very happy. So this is very important, just to do this. Make sure that the boiler is definitely full up by allowing this water to come through nice and clear, and then you can go from there and use the boiler from here exactly as you want to. There you go, just coming through now. Okay, so now that we've allowed that to get rid of all of the air, and now it's coming through nice and clearly, that's it. That's all you have to do. So that is proof that the boiler is full of water. All right, so doing that just 100% proves to you that you can go ahead and use the boiler exactly as you want to. So you can do that on the cold side as well. Just make sure there's no air in the system. No air there. But that's it. So once you've done that, as I said, you can then use the boiler to heat the water up however you want to. That's, you know, that's basically the fail-safe thing that you need to do before you start using it. Once you've done that, you can then use these little dials here, which I'll just run you through now. So this is a Truma Combi, and it's a Combi E because it's got the access to using gas or electric or both at the same time. So when I say electric, I mean when you're hooked up on the mains. So the dial on the right, Combi E, is basically just telling the boiler whether to use gas or electric, or both at the same time. All right, that's all this one does. It just tells it which energy to use. So at the moment, we're on gas only. If I went down 1 or down 2, that's going to be gas and electric, either at 4 or 8 amps. Okay, if I go up 1 or 2, that is electric only at either 4 or 8 amps. Back where it was in the middle is gas only. So for the moment, because I know that we've got the gas switched on in the locker, but I don't have a hookup cable plugged in, the only way that I can use this boiler, and any of the appliances actually, is on the gas. So I'm going to have to leave that one there as it is on the gas. The one on the left is the actual boiler controller. So that's what tells the boiler what to actually do. And as you can probably tell, fairly self-explanatory. On the side here, we've got 40 or 60 degrees. So if you go up 1 or 2, we've got hot water only at 40 or 60. Sorry about the noise there. So yeah, if you just want hot water, you want to just go up either 1 or 2. Now in the middle is basically just going to tell the boiler how quickly you want it to go. That's essentially just like mainly for the heating, really. So hot water only is just up. If you want heating only, you go down 1 to the little gas symbol, the little flame symbol there, and that will basically just start pumping hot air through to any of the little circular vents that you can see just there. So the last one, so 2 down, is heating and hot water at the same time. We should get the little amber light come back on. There we go. And that's it. You know, so if you want heating and hot water at the same time, you want to go all the way down to the bottom. If you just want heating, you go down once. If you just want hot water, you either go up 1 or up 2. So just for example, because sometimes people can get a little bit confused with how these work, because they can be a little bit sort of funny to get your head around. So for example, if I was on a campsite right now, I had the hookup plugged in, but I didn't want to use any of my gas. All right, so let's say it's July, probably a little bit over the top now, but say it's July, we obviously don't want any heating, but you might still want to use the hot water. So haven't got any gas. I've only got mains, so I would go up 1 or up 2 on the right hand side just here to just electric. And then because it's hot, I don't want any heating, but I do still want hot water, I would go up 1 or up 2 for hot water only. Now it's going to flash at me because the hookup isn't plugged in, but that's the general idea. Electric only is up, hot water only is up. Alternatively, if I don't have the hookup plugged in, but I do have the gas on, like now, I would leave this where it is on gas only. And on a day like today where it's cold and I might want the hot water as well, I would be going all the way down to the bottom on the left one. So we've got the heating and hot water. Turn this one here on the left back to the middle. That turns the boiler off completely, no matter where this one is. And that's it. That is how you use the boiler controllers. Right, so the kitchen itself, I actually really like this layout because you don't normally get this much sort of counter space in this kind of layout without it being this style of kitchen. So lots of space up here. So you've got a 3-burner hob up here. These are Dometic burners and a Dometic whole thing. You will need an igniter or a lighter of some sort to light any 3 of these up because they don't come with ignition. But that is that. Down below, we've got the Thetford Duplex oven and grill. Generally speaking, the Burstners don't, I mean, they never used to really. Didn't really come with these grills and ovens, so it's nice to have this in here. So yeah, you've essentially got, on this one, you've got a piezo ignition, so that's a manual igniter just there. This little piece here, I think, pull it out. Yeah, there you go. So you should have this pulled out a little bit when you're using it to stop any of these dials getting, you know, getting too hot and sort of melting off. But you've basically got in and round to the left for the oven, in and round to the right for the grill, whilst pressing on this igniter here, and it will all light up nice and easy. Down below here, we've got all of your gas isolators. So essentially what you've got is you've got the one on the left here. If I just run through them, so the left one is the fridge, middle one's the boiler, and the third one is the burners at the top. All right, so if you wanted to isolate the gas from any specific appliances, oh, and this one here is going to be for this cooker here. So if you wanted to isolate that, you just do that there. So the way to remember this is that you need to make sure that if you want them on, they need to be facing the direction of the pipe. Okay, so the pipe that they're feeding goes up, so these have to be facing up. So if I turned it like this, it's now isolated from this pipe that it's sort of feeding, so then it won't work. So they are all on. You do not need to turn those off every time you come to a stop. Turning the gas bottle off itself is plenty good enough to isolate the gas from everything. So just bear that in mind. The only time that you would ever need to use one of those is if you thought you had a specific issue with an appliance, and you thought, right, I need to isolate that one thing whilst I'm away. That's when you would use those isolators, really. You wouldn't use it any other time. But yeah, there you go. So the fridge is the next bit. So this is a Thetford fridge. So this is an electronic ignition fridge, all electronic. So if I press this button just here, comes up straight away with your little screen. So this is also an AES fridge, which stands for automatic energy selecting. And essentially what that means, I mean, you can probably work out what that means, but it will automatically choose between gas, 240 volt and 12 volt for you. So you can leave it on that function for, you know, if you want to. I mean, it has chosen the correct one now. It's chosen gas for us, as we can see there. But I do find that sometimes these will try and sort of use the wrong one and it gets a little bit confusing. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through how to use it manually if you want to. So pressing that button just there, the on switch, just the once, will just come up and tell you what's happening on the fridge at the moment. So this little switch just here will go through all 4 options. So you've got automatic, 240 volt, so as you hook up, 12 volt when your engine's running, or gas. So the gas at the moment is the only one that we can use because we haven't got the hookup plugged in, we haven't got the engine running, but we do have the gas switched on. So we have to use it on the gas at the moment. If we had the hookup plugged in, we would want to choose mains. And if we've got the engine running and we're driving, we want to use 12 volt. So if I just quickly explain to you how the 12 volt functionality works, the idea behind it. So you have to pre-cool the fridge before you start using that 12 volt function because it's not really powerful enough to get the fridge cold by itself. So the only reason you would use the 12 volt is when your engine's running and you want to keep the fridge cold whilst you're driving. All right, so basically the idea behind it is you've got a split charger or a split relay, and essentially what that does is it takes power from the alternator under the bonnet. Some of it gets sent through to the leisure battery and some of it gets sent through to the fridge. So you can essentially use the engine itself to keep the fridge cold as you drive. It also charges up the leisure battery as you drive so that when you get to where you're going and you stop, you're fully charged up and ready to go. So that's the idea behind that. As I said, if you leave it on auto, it should switch over to 12 volt as you start the engine. But if it doesn't, you do now know how to select the different options. You've then got to the right of that, you've got a temperature selector. Easy as that. And a little bit on the right hand side here so that if you want to use, there's probably a little tiny computer fan at the back of this fridge. So if it's really hot outside, you can use this to basically just give the back of the fridge a little bit more ventilation. But to be honest, especially if you're going to be using it in this country, you shouldn't ever really need to use that. But there you go. So turn the fridge off, press and hold here, and that is off. So above the fridge, we've got this Panasonic microwave. That is a 240 volt appliance, so that will not work unless you've got the hookup plugged in. See there, plugged into a main socket there. Massive stack of paperwork for this particular vehicle in this little wardrobe here in the brown box. Let's pull this to one side. Okay, So I'm just going to carry on talking you through the rest of the appliances first, and then I'll go through the cab with you in a minute. Just making sure there's nothing I've missed out. I didn't do the particular hab check on this one, so I'm just kind of learning at the same time. So at the top just here, we've got your Vision Plus TV aerial and booster. So the aerial that you've got is one of the ones that you don't have to tilt and turn. It's just fixed where it is. So if you want to get decent signal coming through to your TV or wherever the sockets are for that, if I just have a look for those, they'll be in here, won't they? Yeah, so at the back just there of this little TV cupboard, you can probably see you've got the aerial point plugged in. So if you want to use that aerial socket, you need to make sure that your little blue light is on this little booster here, like it is now. So to turn that off, you've got a little switch just here on the top left. That turns the TV booster off, but you will not get a signal coming through to that socket over there unless this booster is on. So just make sure that you do that. If you find that you can't get any signal, just double check that this is definitely switched on. At the bottom just here, we've got your 240 volt trip switches. So if you find that you can't get any power coming in to the van and you're definitely hooked up and it's all on, then just make sure they're all up and showing red. So as you saw from outside, you do get absolutely loads of storage underneath this bed. The actual bottom part of the bed does lift up so that you can have that just there. This is the boiler just here on the left hand side, so whoever prefers to be a little bit warmer, I would recommend the window side of the bed, because that will get a little bit warmer. A bit more storage just under here as well that you can get to from in here there as well. So I'll just pop this down. So in the bathroom, I've always really liked these layouts for these bathrooms, because one of the biggest issues that people find with motorhomes is that when they're using the bathroom, especially one of this sort of size, they'll find that when they're using the bathroom, all their toilet and sink and everything like that gets wet when they're using the shower. But the beauty of these ones is that you've got this door here, which comes across, if I just open that up, comes across and meets up, if you have a shower head in the way, meets up over here like this. All right, so that one goes there, that's completely covering the toilet now. And then you've got this other one here, which comes across and meets over here, so that's then covering up the entire sink area. So for a fairly small bathroom area, it is such a good idea to have it laid out like this. I don't know why nobody else has thought about it before now. I'll do that when I've got two hands in a minute. But yeah, so it's a really good layout. The shower itself comes from this point just here, and you've got the shower drain just down here as well. The toilet itself is normally the only part that I actually talk about, because it's the only bit that's not sort of self-explanatory. I mean, this is literally just hot and cold here, pull it out, hot and cold. Same for the sink. The toilet, slightly different. If you've not used one of these before, then you probably won't know how to use it. So you've got a little blue button just here on the left hand side. Press that in and you'll get fresh water pumping through to there. Pull this little handle here towards us and that drains it out into the cassette. And also, because you've got the SOG unit on this one, you'll hear that when you open this flap up, you'll get a little noise from down there, which is basically just the SOG unit, you know, turning on its fan and working. So that is how you use the toilet. Easy as that. It should also tell you on this little gauge here how full the cassette is when you need to empty it and all that. So there you go. Very, very simple. So as I said, I'm just going to walk you through the cab now, because I normally do that at the beginning, but it's very wet out there, so I obviously forgot. Okay, so the cab itself is a very, very nice high spec. So we've got the 6-speed manual gearbox, cruise control from this lower left-hand stalk. Your lights and indicators are on the left-hand stalk here. Washers and wipers are on the right. you've then got this really nice wooden effect on the entire cab, which I actually really like. That it's been done really well. You've got a double din Pioneer head unit up here, which is actually really nice and modern. The air conditioning is from this little switch just here in the middle, and then you've got all of your heater controls left and right of that. You can lock and unlock the cab from just here. Your hazard warning lights and your rear, well, that might be the front fog light actually. I always get confused which one's which, but as your fog lamp just there. Couple of 12 volt sockets just there. And you've got your electric adjusting mirrors from that one just there as well. So, if I'm not mistaken, there you go. When you turn this little switch on just here, it turns the radio on, and I believe that's now going to be being powered from your leisure battery. All right, you do also have the reversing camera. So lift up over to the top left hand side, and when the engine's running you will see the camera working. But there you go, you've got loads of different options on here. You can unmute it. But yeah, so there you go, double din Pioneer head unit up there, and that's from using that little switch just there. If your engine's not running and you want to use the radio still, you can use it from there. Well, that's about it really. So that's all the appliances, the cab. Just want to make sure that we know any other bits and pieces. So basically, if you want to lock the van up, if you finished using it, no worries, it's hailstoning outside now, so that's why the noise. So when you want to sort of, turn the van off, get ready to drive off from wherever you're going, make sure that all of your windows are closed and completely closed up. All of your skylights are completely closed over. Make sure that your gas is switched off in the cupboard, and then turn your power off just here. And that's it, that's all you need to do. Right, so I think I've covered everything. If there's anything else you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.